In a time and place when you can die alone anywhere.
Two ladies in their mid to late 27s are trying not to.
And they're calling it Relationshit Part 3.
When to walk away and when to run away screaming.
The ladies talk about red flags, settling, and becoming invisible as they age.
I didn't know how good I had it in my 20s.
This is the Workationic Podcast. Excuse me while I just lift my arm above my head.
Yeah, girl, that's a wound. She's been wounded. I was the first one to defend the Dutch healthcare system, but I can't say that my experiences with it have been overly positive.
So I went and used my fancy Dutch health insurance 2 days ago, and I had some blood work done. Surprise, everything's great, minus a little high cholesterol.
Could be all the eggs we've been eating.
Can you believe that I'm at the age where I've got high cholesterol now? Like, I've got to worry about that. Do I need to go get the I can't believe it's not butter spread?
Maybe just the spray stuff, because that's when you know it's real. You just
you gotta spray it.
You just like the spray on like the like that's all you get, bitch.
They had those salad dressings that came in a spray bottle like that too, and like you could get 12 sprays for like 3.5 calories or something.
Just like a whisper of dressing.
It was some bullshit is what it was. I just like opened up the bottle and dumped some on and mixed it around. It was not good salad dressing. You're not supposed to do that with that stuff.
No. Oh, but the reason Carrie's arm is hurting, since we just like glided on right on past that.
Right.
So you got blood drawn.
Yeah. So she tapped my right arm first, and then I don't like needles. I didn't want to look at it, but she tapped my right arm first. And I thought that it was done, and she was like, oh, no. I look over and there are no blood vials. And she was like, I couldn't get it in that one. And I was like, okay, fine. Well, come on over to the other one. And so she taps my arm, and it feels like a regular blood draw. But afterward, I just didn't feel right.
No, you were a little... And your arm was hurting.
My arm was hurting weird, and like I couldn't really like move it that well, and it was swollen. And I could just tell that it was going to be bruised. And I had only given like 3 vials of blood, but it felt like I had given a pint or 2.
Well, we found the extra because I can see it in your arm right now.
I was feeling a little woozy after that. And then I wake up the next day and my arm I could just tell that it's going to be the mother of all bruises. And
it's pretty cracky looking.
And 2 days later, like my whole arm is bruised almost up to my armpit, down to the middle of my forearm. It looks like a real heroin, like Requiem for a Dream situation, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it's disturbing. What I find really interesting though is that, so I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but Carrie, for some reason, gets more mosquito bites than any human being that I've ever met. In fact, it's been great for me because I used to get a lot of mosquito bites. Like, I used to be the person who at like the family barbecue or whatever would get 75 bites and everyone else would be fine. But since living with Carrie, I don't get mosquito bites anymore.
Do you see this one on my forehead?
No, it's ridiculous.
I've got one on my forehead right now. They bite my face.
No, and they come for you. And what's so crazy about it is that, like, I would assume that, like, your blood is just closer to the surface or easier to access or something is attracting them, except that the doctors can't seem to find your blood.
No, well, it's all in my arm. The reason I was feeling so woozy is because I was, like, literally bleeding out into my arm, I think. I sent them the photo, and they were like... Nah, don't worry about that.
No, they're like, don't even worry. But no, like the mosquitoes, like then what is it? Then I'm like, are the mosquitoes drawn to you because your blood's like hard to get?
I don't know.
Is this what you do to the men folk?
I'm trying to tap into my forehead vein.
Right?
Stop it.
No, but it's like they don't. Like getting insulted. You get bitten so much. I'm like, what? Like, what's wrong with this sweet, sweet blood?
You're making me itchy. I have physically looked better. This arm does not look good.
No, it's a substantial bruise, and it's going to be cleared up just in time for sweater season. So enjoy the rest of August with your crack arm.
I know, girl. No, seriously, it looks like somebody seriously abused me right in the elbow. Fuck.
Yeah.
It's not a good situation, and it feels not great. And I sent them updated photos, and they still told me not to worry about that, but that they were sorry that happened to me. And I was like, I think that lady needs to be fired.
It's a real walk it off culture here in the Netherlands.
So when I was looking at articles for how to take advantage of your Dutch health insurance and whatnot, I found this one where it was about expats in Amsterdam and the healthcare system, and how like the expats don't like the healthcare system here.
Yeah.
And it's because when you go to the doctor and you've got a urinary tract infection, they tell you to walk it off.
No, but you absolutely shouldn't do that.
No, I'm like, walk it to where? A kidney infection?
No, I mean, that's the thing. I know some people, and I see it on Facebook sometimes, and I'm going to get messages from my friends who want to fight me about this, but I see people being like, I can't believe people just take Cipro because that's like a huge antibiotic or whatever. And I'm like, listen, I'm sorry, but there was something living in my urethra and it hurt. Like, that's a code red situation if ever I've heard one.
Yeah, listen, I wasn't trying to play.
No.
You don't bring a knife to that gunfight.
No, because then it just escalates. And then if it gets in your kidneys or your bladder, like, we're talking dialysis here, people. Like, and some cranberry juice isn't going to fucking cut it.
No, they didn't even give that lady any cranberry tablets, and she was pissed. And then they don't do cervical cancer screenings out here. And
no, because they're like, if you found out, it'll just stress you out.
Yeah, but it could be normal. It could
I'm like,
just
girl,
be a
you know what
benign
else
cyst.
will stress me out is finding out that I'm dying way after when I probably could have done something about it.
Right. Sorry about that stage 4. Could have caught it sooner, except for you didn't want me to worry.
Right? Like, God forbid somebody gets stressed. Like, they're all just out here, like, working part-time, not checking to see if they have cancer. And I'm like, all right, that's a choice. But sometimes stress is a tool. And sometimes it helps you beat cancer. Because you're like, oh, shit, I have cancer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I should do something about that. That's not, let me not sit on that. I don't know. All I'm saying, sometimes stress is good.
Yeah. I bet you the incidences of skin cancer out here are through the roof, too.
Oh, because everyone just bakes themselves outside whenever there's sun. And these people have not been blessed in the melanin department.
No, but they're trying to make it so.
I can't even get my fucking foundation here. Every single time I go up to Debijnkorf, because that's what they name things out here, to Debijnkorf is like the fanciest mall you've ever seen. It's great. But you go in there, and I go up to Clinique, and they never have my foundation, and I have the palest one. And they're just like, no, we're out. We stay out of that. Like, we comes on Monday. If you come before noon on Monday, you might get it. And I'm just like, damn.
Well,
they're like, we only have the dark colors. I'm like, I bet you do.
You'd think that they'd order more.
Right? Because we're all clearly very pale here. But I know better. I know to put on some SPF and keep myself out of the damn sun.
Not these people. All right. So we should probably get to what this episode's about. We took a detour
sure.
down the crack road arm. This is bad, though. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how this is like...
No, I'm sorry that happened to you. And it keeps getting worse. I really hope that it's like peaking today and that it's going to start to retreat. Ooh, you should draw like a line around it so you can see how it grows and expands.
I've been sending the doctor an updated photo every day, just like, still nothing to be concerned about, huh?
And they're like, calm down, cupcake.
Seriously?
Walk it off. Like, call us when it's progressed to stage 4.
I know. I'm just like, what is... Oh, God damn it. Like, I don't want a blood clot. I don't have to worry about that.
This is how you keep healthcare costs down, though.
Right?
By just, like, not administering healthcare to anyone.
No. All right, so we got a lot of letters and listener feedback from the Relationshit 3-part series.
Yes, we did. We're not going to be able to get to all of it in this podcast. It would be wild because we got like a weird amount of feedback. But we wanted to cover some of them that we thought like hit on some of the broader themes that people, like lots of different people were bringing up, and a few people made some like really particularly good points. Some people called us out for like being wrong and contradicting ourselves. And hey, listen, we're here for that.
Nobody's perfect.
Nah. So yeah, we thought we'd share some of these with you because we had so many amazing conversations as the result of those 3 episodes. We've already been discussing Relationshit Part 4. Don't expect to see that anytime soon.
No, but it's going to be hot fire. Relationshit Part 4, once we get to it, guys. It's a constantly evolving situation on the ground here as a lady in her mid-30s. There's a lot
There's a lot to cover.
You know, a lot can happen in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll get back to it.
I can't wait.
Someday. We need to like gather ourselves though first. Nobody's ready.
All right. So we have a Facebook group. If you search Facebook groups for workationing,
Yes.
don't go to the page, go to the group. You have to request to join. Kelly or I will personally let you in.
We're going to click approve.
And then you can see some of the discussion that we're having over there. Lots of good tips and tricks and also listener feedback.
Yeah, and also lots of conversations about if you're interested, even just nominally, in the remote work lifestyle. If you have any interest in maybe trying to start a side hustle, or if you've been thinking that like, hey, you know, I'd maybe like to set this up for myself someday. We've got tons of advice and resources and all kinds of stuff over there. You can ask us questions. We basically live in our Facebook groups these days. So like if you want to get in touch with us about literally anything from the podcast to remote work, that's where you want to find us.
I'm pretty excited. We really just opened up that Facebook group and we already have almost 800 members.
That's wild. And it's so exciting.
I know. I'm just like, hey guys, where are you coming from?
Like, hey, what's up?
You want some remote work tips, huh? I got that.
Like, what do you guys want to talk about? We're all here.
All right. So one of the things that people wanted to talk about was their own relationship. And so we got a message from a lady that we'll call G. I want to anonymize it,
yes.
You know? But she writes, I have been on 93 first dates in recent years.
Which beats me, which is saying something.
93.
93. God bless.
I admire that hustle.
I do too, because I have to like pause. I'm in the middle of a dry spell right now because I just took down all my profiles. I haven't really done anything for a few weeks. And like
93 first dates. Can you imagine getting ready for 93 first dates?
No. And how many hours is that? Like, listen, you go, sister.
It is an investment. You know, that is an impressive number. 93 first dates.
And getting ready for a date is going to take you an hour, or I think 2, really, for me.
2.
So then you're talking 93 times 2, and that's unpaid labor that you're
that's
doing.
Hundreds of hours just in getting ready. That's not even the commute to the date.
Yeah, that's not even sitting at the table trying to think of a way to leave.
No, that's not even how much does that dress cost that you're wearing.
Right?
You need new shoes to impress. Maybe the lucky number 94.
Right?
Yeah. You know?
No, and like the optimism and the strength that it takes to do that. Like I'm not even, like I'm being very sincere in saying that like I respect it because I know how hard it is. So like you go, sister.
Yeah, but like it really knocked me on my ass with the 93.
Right? I was like I can do better. I need to work on my Tinder cardio and up my Tinder stamina because I'm not cutting it. Apparently, I'm never going to get anywhere Helen like this.
Kelly's first thought was I could beat it, and my first thought was just like, have I gone on 93 first dates in my life? I don't think that I have.
I've easily gone on 50 in the last year. But I've gone on more than anyone I know. So like 93 is like next level shit.
Well, that's not necessarily, she said in recent years. So I'm going to give her 3.
That's still a lot. I've probably beaten that if we're talking 3 years.
Okay. All right. I didn't mean to turn it into
I like
a
to feel like I'm back in the game though. That's good.
You're competitive.
Yeah.
You know, you're within striking distance, I would say.
I'm going for the gold. Going to the Tinder Olympics.
You're just saving your energy for that final push.
Right? Oh, God.
Okay. So G writes, I have been on 93 first dates in recent years, and a lot of dudes who turn out to want kids have wasted my time unapologetically. I've started to kick the tires before agreeing to dates or engaging in prolonged messaging, reiterating that I'm a cat-owning vegan who doesn't want kids and who's trying to get a snowbird lifestyle going. Tap out now, buddy, if you don't dig it. Wondering how the digital nomad lifestyle and not wanting kids pieces are factoring into your dating adventures.
Yeah, I feel like those are huge limiting factors, don't you?
Yeah, because we now are mostly based in Amsterdam.
Right.
We still get around a little bit, you know, but we've got a home base in Amsterdam.
Right. Well, and also to be clear, like we've established a home base. Doing workationing last year has changed the way I think about everything, like all the traveling and over the last year and a half that we've done. And so like we have a home base in Amsterdam right now because we've chosen to, because we've got these digital courses coming out. We've got a ton going on, and it just became too much to move around right now. But like, please don't mistake this for me staying put, because that's not what's happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, I want somebody going forward who is going to have the flexibility to entertain all different kinds of lifestyles. And that's hard to find, because you do find, actually what I find a lot, especially, you know, in the kind of demographic that we tend to be interested in, we find a lot of people who travel a lot for work, but like traveling for work is not the same as being able to travel. And although I can make that work to a certain extent, because if I can go anywhere, then like I could go with them.
Right.
But at the same time, like, not all work trips are created equal, and I don't necessarily want to go on all of those.
Right. And then if you find another digital nomad, then you've got to travel together. And what does that look like? What if somebody's used to staying in hostels and another person really prefers to, you know, splurge on a nicer Airbnb?
Well, they're going to have to catch me not in that hostel. That would be a deal breaker for me. Because that's the other thing, is even among digital nomads, there's so much difference in the way that people prefer to travel. Because so many people really do like to backpack. No.
Hard no.
Absolutely. A lot of people really like to retrofit a cargo van and roll across the country. And once again, that's a nah for me, dog.
You know, I would do that.
I'm not doing that.
I'm more rustic than you, though. It's because I grew up on the farm.
Yeah, girl.
You know,
well, you can go out there and milk cows or whatever you got to do on the road to survive. But you can catch me at the hotel or the Airbnb. Like, I'll do some stuff, but I'm not. I don't know. So everybody has different ideas of what even sounds like fun, or where they'd want to go, or what they'd want to do. It's a difficult thing. And then the kids piece obviously is huge.
That is a huge limiting factor. And I don't know if it's more difficult for the men who don't want kids or for the ladies who don't want kids.
I don't know. I think it's a double-edged sword, as they say. I think it's not easy I don't think it's easy for men or women. And I don't think it's easy for people who want kids desperately and people who desperately do not want children. I think that, like, wherever you fall on that spectrum, it's once you get to this stage of the game, it becomes such a large part of your dating life that it's probably giving you problems no matter what.
Right. Yeah. Because, you know, it's a really extra super hard no for me on the kid front. And some of my guy friends are just like, no lady wants to date me seriously, because they all want kids. And then especially when the guys are dating younger ladies. So, you know, maybe the guy's in his late 30s and they're dating ladies in their mid-20s. They don't even know if they want kids.
Right.
But the guy either really does or really doesn't. And it's like, well, that sounds messy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of the reason why I'm coming down on the side of no is just because, like we talked about before, is that if somebody really wants them, I'm not a 1,000% no quite the way that you are. Like, there's a universe in which I might, maybe, but like, I'm not going into a relationship telling somebody maybe, because I still think that there's a good 90% chance that I'm going to be like, I don't want this. You know, and if somebody really wants it, I'm not trying to hold anybody back from living their best life and finding what they want, you know?
I mean, dating as a digital nomad is really difficult, and you hear these stories of people who have met up at a couple of different places. We've got a listener who met his girlfriend at a co-working thing.
Yeah.
Or co-living. It was one of those, like, we work remotely things, and I don't know, they traveled around, and then they went off and did their own thing. So I guess it can work. I think it's more likely to happen if you place yourself in those types of, like, travel pods.
Yeah.
Because then you're traveling with the groups. But if you're just staying for, like, a month or even a week at a time in different places, how are you supposed to, realistically, how are you supposed to build and develop a relationship like that unless the person's traveling with you?
Yeah, it's difficult because you definitely can make connections quickly with people. It's actually weird when you're traveling how easy it is to make. I feel like I've made really lifelong friendships with a few people along the way, but also it's weird friendships because those people are scattered all over the place.
I mean, the best friend that I've made has been my internet therapist who stays with me wherever I go.
She is loyal.
Right? I can talk to that lady wherever. And we love our internet therapist so much that we have an affiliate relationship with BetterHelp. So if you go to betterhelp.com/workationing, That's betterhelp.com/workationing. You can get 7 days of free internet therapy. Check it out. It helps.
We've been getting such awesome feedback from people who have taken us up on this offer. If you check out even over on the Workationing Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/workationing, people have been hitting us up there saying thank you. This is so awesome. It's really a great service. You guys know us, you've been with us for a long time. We don't lightly plug anything. And the reason we keep plugging this is because it's really awesome. So.
Yeah. You know what? I've got a plug for the end of the episode that I think the ladies are going to like.
Ooh. Stay tuned for that, ladies.
I meant to include it in the dating in the digital era thing because I feel like it's relevant. You know what I'm talking about yet?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll save that for the ladies later.
For sure.
But so dating as a digital nomad is difficult, I would say.
It is. It's just, I mean, it's one of, and I think that even people who aren't digital nomads probably identify with this to a certain extent because like we've talked about, once you get to a certain age, everyone has a laundry list of things that they want. Like maybe you really want that person to do yoga, or maybe, or like she was saying, like she's a vegan and a cat lady. You know what I mean? Listen, I love cats. That's great.
Right.
But I tried dating a vegan and that was a little tough for me. And I think it was actually tougher on him. But it's one of those things where you've got all these different things that you're looking for, and it's difficult to find that all in one person. Oh, by the way, you also have to like each other.
Yeah.
You have to be sexually compatible. Your finances need to be somehow, you're gonna need to be able to reconcile that somehow. Hopefully you can somewhat get along with each other's family and friends. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine.
Yeah. Sounds simple.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't I have just dozens of them lined up?
I can't imagine. It's rough.
All right. Should we move on to the next one?
Yes.
And we can say this lady's name because she posted it in the group. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, it was public.
Sure. So this one's from Carol, and she writes, "Okay, ladies, I just finished your podcast, and there's just so much going through my mind that we need a whole retreat for this." Which we think about sometimes.
Right.
We might do that. First, I am 43 years old and I got divorced 10 years ago and did the whole dating thing for the past 10 years. I can relate to everything you said, and I will tell you something I've learned, and I didn't get this until I hit my 40s. I married in my 20s because I was afraid I was hitting 30 and didn't want to be alone. I settled. I will never settle again. Another thing I learned is that I need to be a complete person to find a complete person. There is none of this Jerry Maguire, you complete me bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, queen, yes. Ladies, we need to have our shit together, and if a man can't accept you for you, then he's not for you. Time and fear should not be pushing us to settle. Life does not always work out the way we thought it would, and we need to just enjoy the ride. All we can do is keep going. The thing I struggle with is I feel I'm losing friends because most of my friends are married with kids, and they hang around other couples with kids. Here in the U.S., I don't know many women in their 40s without kids or being married, and to me, that is lonely. My final comment is be yourself, work on having good self-esteem, and just live your life the way that you want it. I love your attitude, Carol.
Yeah, I really liked that piece of feedback. I think that a lot of ladies need to hear that.
Yeah, but it is hard. I mean, part of the reason that it was a little bit easier for me at that time in my life when we, started workationing was that as I looked around, all of my friends were married and owning houses. And if they didn't have kids, they were about to.
Right.
And that's just the way it is. And like, I look at my friends back home, and so many of them, they're great moms, they're great dads, they're great parents. I can really say that about so many of my friends. And that's amazing, but it also means that they're super involved in those kids' lives, which means like they're not so involved in mine anymore, which I get. Their priorities are in the right place. But when somebody has a kid, it's like bye for 8 years, and then if they have another one after that, you can just roll that,
8 years starts all over again.
Yeah. It seems to be about 8 years that they go down but they're in the trenches. You know what I mean? They're just trying to get through, and they're raising these kids, and I know that the kids need a lot when they're younger. Mm-hmm. And so that's what they're doing. But that does make it hard.
Yeah, I mean, the single friends in your life, especially at a certain age, maybe check in on them. They might be lonely.
Right? Well, and for ladies, especially if you're interested in, I know not everyone is, but if you are interested in like the digital nomad lifestyle or anything like that, there's actually a great group it's a Facebook group called She Hit Refresh. You might want to check that out.
That is a good one. That's
a really good one. And it's specifically for women who are over the age of 30 who are looking to start a new chapter in their life.
Through travel.
Right, specifically. Yeah. But I mean, so you can, I don't know, like sometimes you have to go outside of your your community to find people, you know, like it's not like you lose your old friends. All of my friends who are having kids or whatever, love them to death. We talk, we message each other, all of that. But I mean, sometimes you do need to, I'm transitioning into a part of my life where I now have like single lady friends who are around my age.
Right.
And they're transitioning to a time in their life when they've got like mom friends who can identify with their struggle. And I think it's okay to seek out friends who are appropriate to your stage of life. And if you're not finding them around you, you know, check out meetup groups and Facebook groups and join a gym or take a class or something, because like loneliness is hard.
It really is. It really is. So if you're struggling with loneliness, betterhelp.com/vacationing.
Right. They might have some tips for you.
No, honestly, because like it can help to just have somebody that you pay to talk to. I know that like that helps. It helps me. I've dealt with loneliness out here in these streets.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough, especially when you're like dealing with a different culture.
Yeah.
And like you don't know what you're looking at. Not a whole lot of it makes sense, you know, but you're like, I don't know.
Yeah. I will say this, though. I don't always feel this way, but I do think it's true that loneliness can be a valuable emotion, because I think that, I mean, I know for myself personally, I grew up with a pretty big family and, you know, lots of friends, and I always had roommates and all of that. And I think that I really got through my 20s without ever, I felt all kinds of things, but lonely was rarely one of them.
Right. I didn't start feeling lonely until I was like in my 30s.
Right. And that's a tough feeling, and it can be a scary feeling, but it's also, there's something about sitting in loneliness that makes you realize that it's not going to kill you and that it's actually okay sometimes. And also, I do have to say that I am it has been difficult. There are all kinds of challenges I talk to my internet therapist about constantly. But at the same time, it helps you. I feel more grounded in myself, like in my authentic self. And I feel more familiar with who that authentic self might be because I've been lonely.
Yeah. When I got divorced and my husband moved out, we lived in a tiny little ski resort town called Lincoln, New Hampshire.
Oh, yeah.
It's my favorite place. The reason why is because I kind of like found myself there. I was in a huge house with a dog, and it was the off season, so there was like nobody in town, and I just got to stay by myself a lot. It's such a tiny town, you know, that there's not much to do. There's a grocery store. You have to drive 20 miles to go and get your clothes dry cleaned.
Yeah.
There's no dry cleaner, but there is a
place.
video rental store. You can still go rent a videotape and return videotapes, Patrick Bateman style, out there. But, you know, sitting in that house by myself, and I got comfortable with loneliness in a way and kind of like strengthened by it. I had friends who came up to visit, and I would make an effort to go out and visit them, and it was good. But just don't let it go too far, you know?
Yeah, it can
turn that corner.
It can get too dark. And if you're feeling that way, you know, reach out to somebody. Get an internet therapist, betterhelp.com/vacationing, or call a friend or something, because loneliness is something that as you get older, I think people really struggle with. You can fix it. You know what I mean? Like things can get better, but it's a different ball game than it was in your 20s. I think that, you know, we all grow up and we end up making friends with people based on proximity. You know, you're friends with the kid who lived across the street from you, or whoever sits next to you in math class because your names are alphabetically, you know, next to each other or whatever. And then even when you go to college or whatever, there's all of these structured ways where you can meet people. And so as an adult, that can be more difficult, and it kind of feels like everybody's already got their friends. Something that I actually love about being an expat is that suddenly you have this like really vibrant group of people that you can tap into who are all desperately looking for friends.
Yes, everyone wants to make friends at these expat meetups because everyone's in the same boat. Just like, hey, I don't know this place. I've got a weird accent.
Right.
You know?
I would say, though, also, if you're looking for friends, I feel like group activities are so good. I recently joined a cult.
She did. She can't stop talking about it.
No, it's really obnoxious. No, I joined a gym. It's called F45, and it's like an Australian thing, and they just opened up one here in Amsterdam, and it's like high intensity interval training, like circuit training shit.
To be clear, This is the same program that Hugh Jackman used to get ripped for Wolverine, correct?
Yeah,
and Kelly's doing it.
I'm working on my Wolverine body. I'm gonna look like Hugh Jackman by the time we're done.
You're slaying it though, sister. I saw you do those box jumps.
Well, it's been great for me because number one, it's helped me with my fitness. But number two, what's been so fucking fantastic is that number one, it's a gym that's it's culty. It just is. I don't mind. I like it. I enjoy the high fives. I enjoy the chanting. You know,
chanting.
Like I enjoy all of it. I'm really in it for the high fives, to be real. But like also because it's an Australian gym and basically everyone who works there is an expat and basically everyone who goes there is an expat. And so people are there for two things. Number one, we're expats in the Netherlands and I don't care where you're from. You show up here and suddenly you realize you need to get your shit together.
Yeah, you got to go to the gym
right
now.
You're like, I should have gone I need to go to the gym like 5 years ago to keep up with these people. So
they're so good looking.
So there's that. Number one, they're there for that. And number two, everyone's there for friends. So that's been like a good thing for me in town. And there's stuff like that all over the place, you know, like join a group, do a painting thing or a book club, or maybe you volunteer somewhere or whatever, because what you're going to find there is a bunch of other lonely people who are just trying to find a way to meet people, and they're out there. And when you do it centered around things that you're interested in, then suddenly you have friends who aren't just your friends because of proximity. They're friends because you are both interested in this thing.
Right. Okay. So the next listener message came through, and this is courtesy of a friend of mine, T, we'll call him.
He's the best. I like this one.
But he writes, if a dude is super successful, he's also probably super insecure or something else is driving him. And a stronger woman is going to be a challenge to their self-concept. I'm all about those manic pixies because I like being the solution to their problems.
At least he owns it.
No, seriously, I read that. I was like, I'm all about those manic pixies because I like being the solution to their problem. I read that and I was like, God damn it, Kelly.
Right.
You know, like throw my hands up in the air. Anyway, let me finish. They look up to my accomplishments. They don't criticize. There's never a, wow, but why didn't you? But I'm weird. I get my sexual, emotional, and accountability needs met by different people because when I mix them into one person, I get let down. I appreciate how you're working in men's perspectives into your stories, too. From my perspective, dating times 5 is like living times 5 because he's dating 5 ladies at once because he's a polyamorous dude. So dating times, that sounds like a lot. That sounds like a lot. Like, I'm reading that like it's 93 days.
No, I have more time to go on 93 dates than I do to have 5 boyfriends. That's a lot.
That is a lot. But okay, but dating times 5 is like living times 5. I've learned a lot and grown really quickly over the last year. It's been good for me. But it probably helps that I care about self-improvement and not just getting action. And BetterHelp for the win.
Yes.
BetterHelp.com/workationing.
Yeah, he's one we converted.
Yeah, and he loves it. He loves his internet therapist. So you can go check out 7 days free internet therapy at BetterHelp.com/workationing. So BetterHelp for the win, he says. But I'm also not trying to find a wife or build a relationship. So different considerations. I'm solo poly. So I expect that I'll be dating for another 30 to 40 years. Might as well get really good at it. I started the solo poly thing about a year ago, so it's too early to tell how it's going. But I recognized my standards for a wife are insane, and that woman, if she exists, wouldn't be interested in me.
That one slays me, but yes. Okay.
Right? Also, I've got deep trust issues that are useful for keeping me ahead in life, but fuck over long-term relationships. Trade-offs.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff in there. I think first we should probably address for people who don't know, because this is like a new concept to me only in the last maybe 6 months, this solo poly idea, which is kind of the idea that you're polyamorous, but you're also single. Like you're not looking to necessarily shack up with anyone or be like, this is my life partner.
No.
You're dating around, you're figuring out what goes on, but you have decided that you are happiest as kind of a single, individual, autonomous human.
Right.
And I have a lot of respect for that. I feel like that takes a lot of, I think you have to be just very centered in yourself to approach it from that angle.
And this particular guy is.
Yeah, no, I would definitely say that about him. So, I mean, I respect it. I think it's cool. It is hard to hear about because I hear this from men all the time, and I'm not even trying to be critical. The men, by the way, who have said this to us, by and large, are men that we are friends with, that we like and respect. I've got nothing bad to say about them, but it is difficult to hear that. I mean, he said that, there's never a wow, but why didn't you?
Right.
And so in some way, and part of me hears that and is like, why can't you just take a challenge? And why can't you but then the other part of me like flashes back to just what a naggy ass harpy I've been in every relationship I've ever been in.
Yeah, because I mean, like, listen, I am not a manic pixie dream girl.
No, girl.
I think I'm a little too high strung for that. You
Yeah.
know, I think you got to be a little more chillaxed to be a manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah, you got to really ride the waves of existence, I think.
I think you have to go to Burning Man more times than I've been.
Yeah.
To fit that bill. But I'm not that. And like, am I demanding? Probably. I'm very demanding of myself too, though. And so you better believe that for a life partner, I'm going to have some expectations. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, why am I still single?
Right. I think what it makes me realize, though, too, is that I do want a partner. I really strongly want a partner who's going to actively engage in self-improvement with me together, that it would be something that we'd be doing like in parallel together. However, I also recognize that, everybody wants to feel loved as they are and on their terms. Right. And so like constantly coming after somebody with like a whole laundry list of things that you want to change about them is not great. And also like maybe that's just not the person for you then. If you can't accept certain things, because we talked about this in the previous episodes, that there are no perfect people and that everyone's going to have to probably compromise or settle on something, because the truth is that no one's perfect. And yet we all at this stage of our lives have these like laundry lists down the hall, out the door, around the corner of like stuff that we want in a partner, and you're gonna have to compromise on something. But if it's something that like you really can't let go of, then maybe that's not the right person for you. But also I think that sometimes I need to look at myself and be like, maybe I think this probably is something I could let go of, actually.
Right. Can we get to the dating ×5?
That is just a lot. I don't understand how anyone does it. God bless him.
Well, I mean, like maybe one of them's only on rotation like one weekend every 2 months.
I could maybe do that.
I don't know how often he sees all of these different ladies. Feels a little prying to ask, Right.
You
would tell me.
I don't need to see a schedule or anything.
No, but can you imagine? Can you imagine that shared Google Calendar?
Right? Yeah.
We should have a whole episode just on polyamory, because I find it to be a very interesting concept. I don't know that I'm built for that, but maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, it's just not optimal in terms of, I really would like to find a partner. I value that dynamic, although it's very difficult to find. I really have always been intrigued by the idea of polyamory, though, because there's something about it that I think that there's something very noble in, number one, striving to love other people in a way that sets them free and that gives them a lot of room to explore themselves and to do their own thing, and it's not caging anyone in. And also, I think to do that, you have to really reckon with yourself, because there is jealousy and there's insecurity and all of that. And so you have to be willing to do the self-work on yourself. I think there's something very noble about it in a lot of ways. It's just, I look at the time that I have in my day, and I feel like a partner would be just an easier, better solution, and what I like, it would be my preference. But girl, these days are ticking by, and who knows?
Yeah, right.
You
might need to get 4 of them,
right?
Well, wait, how come you're not competing with T here to go for dating ×6 is like living ×6?
Well, girl,
he's at 5 right now.
When I can date one, I'll let you know. But okay, here's a crazy story I'll inject really fast. I've actually like shut down all my profiles right now. I'm not even dating. And the last date that I went on that was any good at all, he a few days later got a cold. And then a few days after that, the cold got worse and he went to the hospital. And then we were still texting through all of this, talking every day. I was really on him for having the man flu.
Right.
Saying he's like, yeah, I'm only in the hospital because all these nurses are so hot.
Walk it off.
Right? Just joking around. A few days later, I know only from Facebook that he was put on a ventilator and has been there for the last 4 weeks. And I haven't gotten a text. I don't know anything. I'm constantly looking on his Facebook to see what's going on. Like, I want to go over there, except that I'm some chick from Tinder.
That's a weird situation.
And I don't know his family at all. And I don't want to show up. And I'm not trying to cause, like, I'm sure they are going through enough.
Right.
And like, that wasn't somebody, we had kind of come to the point where, because he wanted kids, that was not going to happen anyways. But
right.
that like weird, just a weird, That's one we've been talking about this lately. That's one that Sex and the City did not prepare me for.
No. And yeah, I've been encountering all kinds of stuff that Sex and the City, the prophecy, has not prepared me for. I found out this week that an ex-boyfriend of mine that I dated in college for almost 2 years committed suicide.
Yeah, that's so awful.
Didn't know that he had committed suicide. The family is very Catholic. And I found out about the death. I think they just kind of kept it pretty quiet. But I found out about the death more than a week after it had happened. And we were still in touch, you know?
Mm-hmm.
In my Facebook messages, like we were just talking in April, going back and forth and like making inside jokes and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It seemed okay. But I didn't know that he had died, so I didn't make it back for the funeral, and I would have, but that would have been kind of a weird situation too. Because like, here I am from 15 years ago, but like he flew out and met my family, and
yeah,
I don't know. It was like, it was a long-term relationship, and that was pretty brutal. But you know, dating in the digital era, I found out how he died via Instagram.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me an Instagram message, and then I found out how he died via Facebook, and that was pretty brutal. It's difficult because like the family didn't want, seems like
right,
they didn't want it to get out how he died, and then somebody posted on Facebook in a public post about it that I was able to find, you know?
Yeah, because I mean that was something we didn't talk about in dating in the digital age, but that's happened to me, a similar situation as well. With someone that I dated for a much shorter amount of time. But it's weird because you can maintain, the digital world gives you the ability to kind of maintain these relationships with people that you haven't talked to seriously for a long time.
Right.
But that like line of communication is always there. And like maybe, like you said, you check in, you have some inside jokes, you like each other's stuff. You know, every once in a while you're like, hey, it's your birthday. What's up? You know? And so you keep those lines of communication open. But at the same time, it's like, it's not, you weren't in this person's life on a day-to-day basis.
No,
and you
I
don't
had
necessarily,
no idea he was struggling.
Right. And that makes it, and then when something like that happens, you feel weird because you know that you still had this ongoing meaningful friendship with somebody, but then other people in their life don't know, and then you feel weird at reaching out, and then it's just like, it's tough. It's like a really tough situation.
Yeah, that was really shitty, still like dealing with it. But I don't know, it's welcome to, I guess, the digital era when you find out horrible things in weird ways, and you know, like, how would have I otherwise known?
It's so hard when this is maybe a little off topic, but I still think is important to talk about. Like, so we're both from, you were living in New Hampshire. I'm from Ohio. You know, both of those are states that have been hit really hard by the opioid crisis. Right. And there are, I at least once a month I log into Facebook and somebody I know has OD'd. And something that's really difficult is that I feel like people, when they won't say what happened. It's like this young person who died, right, and they won't say what happened. Then you know it's a drug overdose or it's suicide or it's some combination of those two things.
Right.
And then people don't talk about it, you know? And I understand, we've had that happen in my family. I understand how incredibly excruciatingly painful these sorts of things are for the, you know, close friends and family members. But there are so many other people, like a person touches so many people in their life who really do care and want to know what happened, and who I think have a right to know what happened to this person. And no one will talk about it. And then you're left scrambling being like, what happened to this person that I really loved?
No, girl, let me tell you, when I found out that he died, I mean, you were here, you heard me.
Yeah,
so, like, number one, I had a mental breakdown, but then number two, it was just like, well, nobody knows how. And you can't go, like, sending Facebook messages about that. There's nobody you can ask. Like, I actually Googled, you know, I'm like, Emily Post, help a sister out. What does Miss Manners have to say? You don't ask. And I wasn't going to do that, although I really wanted to, because I spent a chunk of my life with this guy, you know, right, and we had been through some stuff together. You came out on the other side of it, friends.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I had to dial up my Google stalking and my internet searchery, and it took me about a day.
Yeah, it's really hard. And I also wonder, too, if by shoving these things under the rug all the time, I don't know that that's helping anyone. I know that it's so incredibly painful. But when you hide it from people, what happened to this person, then it's like you're just adding another layer of shame on top of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? We can't, it's like if you do this, if you kill yourself or if you die of an overdose, people aren't even going to talk about what happened to you. You know, they're going to act like you just quietly died in your sleep at the age of 36 or 27 or whatever whatever the case may be. And I think that might make it harder for people to reach out, because if you're really feeling that way and you're having those thoughts about killing yourself, or you're engaging in really destructive behaviors that could kill you, if what you see in your community around you is that we don't even talk about that because it's so shameful, then I feel like that might make it harder for people to reach out. I know we talked about this stuff before. We'll make sure to put the hotline. There's a whole list of hotline numbers for all around the world for, if you're feeling suicidal or if you know someone who is, there are hotlines that you can call.
Right. I have reached out to a couple of friends since finding out the news just to check in.
Yeah. That post that you found that told you what happened, that person was saying that he felt really bad because he had talked to your ex a few weeks beforehand, and he knew that he was struggling and that he was helping him brainstorm solutions and that sort of thing. But he said that what he wished he had done was ask him if he was okay.
Right.
And so, reach out to people and ask them, are you okay? And if you're not okay, reach out, because when these things happen, every single time I see someone that has committed suicide or, died as the result of a drug overdose, and, clearly they were really struggling, everyone comes out of the woodwork and is like, I wish I had known. I would have done anything for this person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if you're feeling that way, you try to reach out, because I think you'll be shocked at how many people would drop everything if they knew that you were struggling in that way and would be there for you. And you're worthy of that.
That was a dark detour.
Yeah, sorry, friends.
Yeah, Relationshit. We told you that can happen in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Are we both crying in the letters episode?
God, we are some
we didn't
weepy
see this
bitches.
One coming.
Okay.
I didn't even get my shit together.
You okay, girl?
I'm fine. I'm not. It's okay. Do
you want to take a minute?
No. Let's just power through.
Okay, girl. I love you.
I love you too. Just a shitty situation,
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Well, you're going to take this one while I stop crying over here.
Yeah, girl, I got you.
Okay.
Okay, so this is one that we got in the Facebook group also, and then in a message. I did not ask this person's permission to read this, so I will call this person D.
Yeah, surprise, dude. You're on the podcast.
Yeah. So, since you are open to responses from men, this is a man, in regards to your most recent Relationing podcast, I would like to provide a few comments. One contradiction I heard was that you said a man shouldn't be forced to take responsibility for a child when he never wanted that, but you said to watch out for men who abandon their children. So it's like you're saying it's okay to not want to be part of an accidental child's life, but then they should be considered persona non grata to other women after. I think that's a good point. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, that was a fair. Noted.
One other thing I would say is a lot of what you mentioned also applies to men as well. For instance, when you say you're worried a man might leave you for a younger woman, the same thing can happen if the gender roles are reversed. This is much less common, but the underlying reason has less to do with age and more to do with the other person not fulfilling the desires of that person anymore. If someone values youth very highly, then chances are they will leave you when your youth fades. But it's because they want youth and you didn't have it anymore. While it's out of your control, you changed, their preferences didn't. So the one thing I would say to that is don't go for men who value that much higher than other traits you possess. It's similar to how a woman will tell a man to not go for women who only want you for your money, because if you ever lost it all, you'd lose them as well. Overall, I really enjoyed the episode. Honestly, it was actually the first episode I listened to of your podcast, but the honesty helps people feel like they're more connected to you. Maybe it's not something you wanted to do, but I would have loved it if you had a male guest on the episode. So thank you to D for this. I thought this was a really thoughtful message and I wanted to include it. I did appreciate what he said about us contradicting ourselves on the no kids front.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been thinking about it, and I don't know what to do with that contradiction, but it still does exist in my mind.
I mean, I just think that for me, I felt like I didn't clarify my point well, which is that, okay, here's what I took from it, is that in my mind, the way I was thinking of it is that if somebody has this accidental kid that they got baby tricked into and then they didn't want to be a part of its life and they made that decision, that's something that I can understand.
Right.
And be understanding of. It's men who kind of walk out on children that they agreed to have that I am very suspicious of. However, what I recognize from reading this is that my filtering process might not be that good, because if I just filter everyone that has kids without really digging deep into what happened there, I think that the point that I got from it is that I need to like make more room for people to tell me their story and for me to make a judgment from there instead of just being like, no kids.
Right.
Or just decide no kids across the board.
I'm on that. I know what side of the fence I am on that, but I'm trying to decide how much to share. I've been surprise babied, just like surprise. I have a kid I didn't tell you about.
Yeah, it happens.
And that was rough because I'm like, I wish I would have known sooner. Because like I totally remember asking on the first date, like, do you have any kids?
Because the other reality is that as much as I think that someone should have the right to be like, listen, I didn't want to have this kid. I didn't ask to have this kid. If you would like to have this kid, that is your business, but I'm not going to be involved. But the reality of that situation is a lot more nuanced than that. I think especially for men, they're going to be coming after you for that child support till the end of time.
Right.
You are gonna have a hard time convincing the courts that you don't need to pay for this kid, regardless of whether or not you asked for this to happen in the first place. And it does suck. Like men get kind of screwed on the legal end because, number one, they have trouble getting custody of their kids if they do want this kid.
Right.
And then if they don't want a kid, they are still gonna have to pay for it forever. And so women are kind of the gatekeepers on that decision, and then legally what happens to a man after that is very much out of his control, and I think that's not fair.
Right. Is there anything else we need to talk about in this one?
I think it was a good point about youth and age. That can be a hard one to deal with.
I don't like that.
Nobody likes that.
That's not my favorite point. If somebody values youth, then when it fades on you, that person didn't change. Their preferences didn't change. Your ass just got older.
Right. Well, and I think that there's some like real realities there.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I'm going to be objectively less attractive when my boobs are so saggy I can throw them over my shoulder. Mm-hmm. Like that Tinder profile is not going to be as successful in another couple decades.
Yeah. And then I wonder, particularly when I date, because somebody who's in my age range right now is not going to look at me and think I'm young. Somebody who's older might, I
don't know, though, because I dated a guy plus 10, and then I also dated a guy plus 19, and both of them have told me I'm not that young.
Right.
So I'm like, well, I'm not trying to play like I'm 18 or anything, but like compared to you, I'm young, right? No.
Right.
I'm not. Because
they feel weirdly entitled to being with somebody so much younger.
25.
Right. I mean, I hear it, though, and I hear that it goes both ways. I think that, like, the big point there is just, this is why you need to have these conversations early and often in a relationship about, what do you like about me? Like, what am I bringing to this? What am I bringing to the table? And what do I feel you're bringing to the table? And let's talk about not just right now and how much we love each other in this moment when we're all infatuated, but like, let's talk moving forward about what you hope to continue to get out of this relationship and what I hope to continue to get out of this relationship. And hopefully you can find somebody who will be honest, and hopefully you can be honest. And I think that'll, you've got to get real about it,
Right.
If you want it to have long-term potential. And aren't those fun, sexy conversations to have?
Well, listen, in the meantime, you can catch me just face planting into a bunch of Botox and filler needles.
Right? I'll be over here shredding with the Wolverine.
I know.
Trying to get this body in better shape.
Constantly in a diet.
Just like forever hangry,
really,
and in gym clothes, because that's and doing laundry, because suddenly I have to do laundry every single day because I'm working out so much. It's just like, it's a lot. And then I'm supposed to find time to go date. I'm gonna get this body together. It's not gonna matter, because like, just keeping this body together, it takes up all my freaking time.
Yeah, I hope you like gym dates.
I know, like, I'm hoping to find a gym dude, except to be real, like, I would say the majority of the dudes at my gym are gay. Not all.
No, and I keep thinking the ones that are straight are gay.
It's
the Australian accent, I think.
No, my gaydar in a different country, in this country in particular, I have literally no idea.
No, you
who's gay.
tap an accent on, and like everyone out here has just impeccable haircuts, and the style
is great. Everybody takes some real pride in their body. Yeah. Like I cannot tell. And then you throw an accent on there, and I'm lost.
Yeah, I got nothing, man.
Because I'm, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like I don't know. I can't tell. I've never been so wrong in my life, and just so frequently.
I know.
I'm just like, not gay, huh? And it gets weird sometimes. Sometimes I'll just talk to a dude as though like I assume he's gay, and they're like, no, I just like tank tops. And I'm like, okay, well.
I know.
You're like, this tailoring is just on point. I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
Do you not get your clothes tailored?
We do now.
No, we literally do now, because don't think you're just going to be wearing this shit off the rack and that's gonna pass.
Not out here.
No, you need to tailor it to your Wolverine body that you've achieved by working out nonstop.
You've lost 100 pounds.
I have.
We'll have to do an episode about that. That'll be good.
We should, and like an update, because girl, you're looking great too.
Well, yeah, girl, I've been laying off the brie.
Yeah, this has been a brie-free zone.
Yeah, and the reduced brie intake. Somehow I lost 17 pounds, but that means that I gained like 15 pounds.
It was slow, but then all at once. Like that was rough. Yeah, we'll have to talk. We'll do an episode about it.
About the fattening is what we call it.
Yeah, the fattening and how we escaped that and what we're doing now. Because let me tell you, it's like, that's the other part. I feel like I work, I sleep, I worry about dying alone, and I work out, and I'm hungry. That's my day.
Yeah, it sounds like we're on the same plan.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah. Yeah, you work out more than I do, though.
Well, I joined this cult, though.
Okay, if you have more listener letters, I think we're going to start incorporating this into Le Rotation.
Yeah, we love hearing from you guys and the feedback. And honestly, sometimes we prepare for this podcast just a lot less than you might assume.
Yeah, normally I'm like, hey, Kelly, I've sent so many emails this morning that Gmail has locked down my account. So right. I don't have access to my email, which means I can't really do a whole lot of work right now, because believe Google Suite is just down when that happens.
Yeah, it's no.
So how about we record a podcast, huh?
Yeah, so we love hearing from you guys, and sometimes, we might say something that's dumb or contradictory, and we don't mind that feedback, and let us know. And
you can catch us over at the Workationing Facebook group. Facebook.com/groups/workationing. Drop us a message there and we'll get back to you.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, until next time. This has been another episode of the Workationing Podcast. If you like what you've heard here, please consider donating at patreon.com/workationing. That's patreon.com. All proceeds will go towards funding our bucket list items.
To keep up with us in real time, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at Workationing. Or on our website at, you guessed it, workationing.com. That's workationing.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode.
Motherfucker, is that dude... That dude is sanding that window.
Our CIA handler is back. And where is the drop point, Kelly?
I don't know. He's going to sand this window down and repaint it. Dude, you done painted that window. I watched you do it.
He's trying to tell us to go to the drop point. I don't know where the drop point is. I missed that memo.
Get a flashlight. Can we flash him Morse code or...